Where's Gokul Bandhu? Is he coming now? He's on the way. Still missed class. Jaya Radha Madhuva Kunda Vihare. Jaya Radha Kunda Vihare. Jana Malava Giri Badalave Gopi Jana Malava Giri Badalave Suranandana Rajajanurangana Suranandana Rajajanurangana Jamuna Tira Panachate Yamana Teva Panachate Jaya Mahuma Punyaveharo Jaya Radha Kunda Vihare Gopi Janapanapa Ide Vadadave Gopi Janapanapa Ide Vadadave Yasodhanandana Rajananandana Yasodhanandana Rajananandana Gunatera Panachare Yamunatera Panachare Jaya Jaya Radha Mahaka Kundave Hare Jai Om Vishnu Pad Paramahansa Paramadikacharya Teta Sutashi Shimad His Divine Grace Abhaya Chalana the Bhaktivedanta Goswami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. ISKCON founder Acharya, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Anantakoti Vaishnav Vrinda ki jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki jai. Prem se kaho Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Dvaita Gadadha Shivasati Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Shri Shri Radhakrishna Gopi Gopinath Shyama Kunda Radhakunda Giri Govardhan ki jai. Vrindavanam ki jai. Mathuradam ki jai. Jagat Goswami ki jai. Munamai ki jai. Shrimati Lasi Devi ki jai. Samaveda Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Gaur Premananda Hari Hari Bol. All glories the assembled devotees. All glorious the assembled devotees, all glorious the assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Guru and Gauranga Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Savaniti Namani Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pacharni Nirvashesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Tejatarni. So we are reading from the Srimad Bhagavatam, 10th canto, 14th chapter, text 29, text 29. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Atapi te deva padambuja dvaya prasada la leshanu grahita eva hi janati tatwang Bhagavan Mahimno Na Chanya Eko Pi Chirang Vichinvan Atapite Deva Padambuja Dvaya Prasada Lishanu Grihita Heva He. I'll try to go slower for you. Janati Tatwan Bhagavan Mahimno. Nachanya Heko Pichiram Vichinvan. Atapite Deva Padambuja Dvaya. Saraleshanu Grihita Hevahi. Janati Tatvam Bhagavan Mahimno. Chanya Hekopi Chiram Vichinvan. Atapite Deva Padambuja Dvaya. Prasada Lishanu Grahita Hevahi. Janati Tatvam Bhagavan Mahimno. Chanya eko pichiram vichinvan. Okay, who wants to try? Okay. Ata, therefore. Api, indeed. Te, your. Deva, my Lord. Padam bujadvaya, of the two lotus feet. Prasada, of the mercy. Lesha, by only a trace. Anugrahita, favored. Eva, certainly. He, indeed. Janati, one who knows. Tattvam, the truth. Bhagavat, of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Mahimna, of the greatness. Na, never. Cha, and. Anya, another. Eka, one. Api, although. Chiram, for a long period. Vichinvan, speculating. So translation, my Lord. No, you don't have to repeat right now. And we'll do it a second time, you can repeat. My Lord, if one is favored by even a slight trace of the mercy of your lotus feet, he can understand the greatness of your personality. But those who speculate to understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead are unable to know you, even though they continue to study the Vedas for many years. So you can repeat, my Lord.
My Lord.
If one is favored, by even a slight trace, of the mercy, of your lotus feet, he can understand the greatness of your personality. But those who speculate to understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead are unable to know you, even though they continue to study the Vedas for many years. So, purport by the followers of His Divine Grace of the Prabhupada. These purports are not by Prabhupada. This translation is quoted from Srila Prabhupada's Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Lila, chapter 6, text 84. So Lord Krishna is very eager to bestow his mercy upon the conditioned living beings who are uselessly struggling with the Lord's illusory energy, Maya. The conditioned soul struggles for happiness through sense gratification and by knowledge through mental speculation. Both processes ultimately bring him to a morose and hopeless condition. If the conditioned soul surrenders to the lotus feet of Lord Krishna and thus acquires even a trace of his causeless mercy, the whole situation is changed, and the living entity can begin his real life of bliss and knowledge in Krishna consciousness. So what I thought I would do, actually, is there's a very, very nice commentaries by the Acharyas on this particular verse. So, because this is, the commentary is written by one of Prabhupada's followers, so it's the right etiquette for me to read the commentaries of the Acharyas. There's commentaries by Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, there's commentaries by Jiva Goswami and Sanatana Goswami. So Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur comments on this verse. Only by devotion to Krishna is it possible for the jiva to attain a realization of the bliss of Brahman. The jiva must discard his material coverings. Being blessed with a particle of mercy from your lotus feet, he can understand you as Brahman Mahima. Matsya says, Madhyam Mahiman Chaparabhameti Subjitam. My greatness, Mahimna, as Para Brahman, is taught by me and realized in the heart by you, and you will understand. So, Sridhar Swami, he's another commentator, explains this verse as follows. You will know the Supreme Brahman, having received the mercy from me. To obtain a particle of mercy of the Lord means that the Jnani performed mixed devotional service previously. The Lord bestows mercy of Bhakti Yoga to that man, Jnani, who gives up avidya and vidya. That's interesting. Who gives up nescience and even knowledge. Who gives up jnana and accepts pure bhakti. That's a very interesting statement. That person who prefers jnana and gives up bhakti and enthusiastically pursues Brahman, although he is a guru for thousands of jnanis. Jnanis means mental speculators. And studies scripture and practices yoga for a long time, does not know the true nature of the Lord. And then we have Jiva Goswami's commentary. It's actually nice commentaries. Though the Lord has unlimited greatness, by his mercy, the discriminating person can approach the Lord. The meaning is clear. In knowing your greatness, such persons reject the Vivarta Vad explanations. I'll have to explain what Vivarta Vad means, because some of you don't know. Vivarta means illusion. So the Mayavadis, I guess we could have a class within the purport, but anyway, the Mayavadis have basically two misunderstandings. One is called Vivartavad, and the other one is Parinamvad. And so Vivarta means illusion, Parinam means transformation. So what that means is that the impersonalists, atheists, etc., those who don't believe in God, in India at least, they say two different things. That Brahman comes under illusion. This is actually Shankaracharya's philosophy. Comes under illusion, that's Vivarta, and therefore Brahman thinks it is all of us, but we are actually Brahman. It's kind of stupid, but anyway. So the problem with that particular philosophy is, what is a problem with philosophy? Is that means that there is a superior force that is superior to Brahman. Brahman, the word Brahman means the greatest. So if the greatest is put into illusion, that means illusion is more powerful than the greatest, which doesn't make sense to me. In other words, illusion must be God. Maya must be God, not Krishna, not Brahman, not spirit. That's kind of a stupid philosophy. Of course, that's Shankaracharya's philosophy. And Parinamvad, which is not mentioned here, means the Brahman becomes transformed. But that also is stupid, because Brahman can never be transformed. The soul can never be transformed. Material energy is transformed. Like we have in the Vishnu Purana. Vishnu Shakti Para Prokya Chetatyakya Cheta Para Vidyakarma Sanganya Tritir Shakti Ishade. I hope I'm not getting too philosophical. So the Lord has different energies. There's his Paraprakriti, which is definitely not transformed. The Jiva soul, which is also transcendental, is not transformed. And then also the material energy, which gets transformed. Which gets transformed. Just like we see, and Bhagavad Gita tells us, Bhutva Bhutva Praliyate. Sometimes the material energy is manifest and sometimes it's not. Like this table, for example. It's a transformation. Let me see what's a transformation of. Wood. I have to check. Might have been metal. So it's a transformation of wood. What was it before? A tree. That's called parinam. Parinam means it's being transformed. But the soul is never transformed. Krishna is never transformed. So these are the two illusory philosophies spoken of by impersonalists and Mayavadis and Nirvishesha people. So that's what Vivarta Vada means. Shankaracharya's philosophy. The words will be explained. O revealer of everything, because this is Lord Brahma speaking, or one who is revealed everywhere, or Krishna who plays in Vrindavan eternally, one who is favored by even a particle of mercy knows your greatness, certainly. And then he quotes the same verse. Actually, a nice verse from the Mundaka Upanishad. Yame Vaisha Vinute, the Lord reveals himself to the person he chooses. That's from the Mundaka Upanishad. The words lotus feet indicate bhakti. O Lord, who reveals qualities like mercy, Bhagavan, this is the cause of receiving mercy. His glories are clear. He is without limits. It's quite a lengthy purport. So there's another quote from the Bhagavatam later on, and I'm not going to read that. Actually, a previous verse. Unrestricted Lord, O Lord endowed with all powers, O super soul, O Lord who spreads throughout all time. Who knows where, how many, and when your pastimes will take place in the universe. Spreading your yoga maya, you will play. And Sanatana Goswami's commentary is the same, pretty much, just like 2 paragraphs at the end. Commencing bhakti, giving up all speculation, by praying for bhakti continuously, one knows the truth about bhakti. One knows what it is, its real nature. Another person, all alone, without association, contemplating by studying scriptures with chinban and yoga practice, does not know the Lord. Very important point, which I'm going to be talking about. Though one realizes the truth, by getting full mercy, usually one only receives a particle, lesha. This indicates that the mercy is rare. And then we go back to the verse, recite the verse, and then we can speak a little bit. Atapite deva padam bhujadvaya prasadale shanu granita hevahi janati tatvam bhagavan mahim no chanya eko pichadam vichinvan. So Om Gana Timidandasha Gananjana Shlakya Chakshu Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. So actually, this is a common theme that's even there in the Bhagavad Gita. Like Bhaktumam Abhijanati Yavanyas Jasmi Tatvataha. Only by devotion can I be known. You know, it's again and again, Krishna repeats this. So, the problem is, oh, good to see you. Radharani just came. Because she was in this play. She played the part of Radharani. Feeling separation from talks to the bumblebee, so that's why I always call her Radharani. So anyway, so getting back to the point. So first of all, how do we get bhakti? So here's the questions. How do we get bhakti? And what are the necessary ingredients for bhakti? Very interesting point. Well, first of all, in order to have bhakti, one has to know, as mentioned here, something called tattva. Tattva basically is an interesting word. In Sanskrit, it means something that is. Tattva, you know, like in English we have the word what? That. But it means much more than that implicitly. It means something that always continues to exist and is an eternal truth. You know, sometimes probably here in the verse it's translated as truth. But tattva means like an eternal truth. Something never changes. Bhagavad Gita really defines this in this famous verse, Nasato vijate bhavo, na bhavo vijate sattva, ubayopi drishtavantas, tvanios tattva darshabhi. And that verse states that the sages consider those things that have a beginning and end, that those things that don't continue to exist as unreal. And the sages consider those things which always exist as real. That's interesting. So let's examine what is real and what is unreal. What is real is the soul, Krishna, and even Krishna's material energy is real, although it gets transformed. The shape is unreal. In one sense, I'm not saying this table doesn't exist. That would be kind of stupid. You know, in a practical, common sense expression, this table is real. But from a philosophical point of view, this table is unreal because it's temporary. It's not a tattva. Table is not a tattva. Neither is the wood, because before it was wood, then it was soil, nutrition in the soil, and it was produced by some living entity, the tree. And before that, if you go all the way back, it was something called the pradhan. Pradhan is the unmanifest stage of the three modes of material nature. So in other words, material energy is real. It exists, continues to exist. And so the soul is real, Krishna is real, spiritual world is real, your karma is not real. Because sometimes it's there, sometimes it's not. So you see these different factors. So really that's what tattva means, to understand the reality and then to understand the connection between the real things. I don't know if that makes sense. What does that mean? What's the connection between the jiva soul and Krishna? It's also called, in the early stage of devotional service, it's called sambandha gyan. Sambandha means relationship in Sanskrit. So sambandha gyan means the relationship between Krishna and the jiva. Of course, the Bhagavad Gita talks about this. Mamivangsa jiva loke, jiva bhuta sanatana, manakshashtani indriyani prakriti shtani karshati. The jiva is my part and parcel. And other things, what's the other relationship? Jivera swarupohoy, nitya Krishna das. He's eternally my servant. Anyway, there's many verses that describe the jiva's position. But it's eternal, its relationship with Krishna is eternal. That's another tattva. The relationship with Krishna is eternal. It is not obtained or attained. You always have your relationship. You always have your eternal relationship with Krishna, but you've forgotten it, right? Actually, there's another verse. Sorry, I'm quoting too many verses. But there's another verse in the Chaitanya Charitamrita that proves this point. It says, Nitya Siddha Krishna Prem Saja Koronai. What does that mean? That the living entity, that's you and me, not the body, is already established, already has Krishna Prem. I know we don't feel like that right now because we may have so many like anarthas and other desires. But really, we have Krishna Prem, Nitya Siddha Krishna Prem. Saja Koronai. In Bengali, that means it's not something that you get, it's something that you have. Saja means goal or something you want to obtain, but you already have it. In another sense, we're not realizing it, so we have as our Saja Krishna Prem. But we already have it. It just has to be awakened. And how is it awakened? Oh, you know that verse. You got a scholar here. You were looking it up or you knew it? Shravanadi Shuddhachite Kore Doi. That by the hearing process, it's awakened. So that's the nature of the jiva. You know, we're going through the tattvas now. Nature of the jiva is such, and of course Krishna's nature is, you know, Satchidananda Vigraha, Adir, Govinda, Sarvan. So many descriptions about Krishna's nature. Ham Sarvasya Bhavo, Matak Sarvam Pravarte, Dimagwavajantivam, Buddhavam, and Samanvita. First in the nutshell verses. And obviously when the jiva understands this, that is what Machata, Mantata, Prana, Bharyantascha, Parasparam, Katyantascha Mam Nityam Tushanti Cha. We want each other. The jiva worships, glorifies Krishna, talks about Krishna's pastimes, glories, etc. So, anyway, that's the nature of the jiva, and the nature of the mature world we already described is Krishna's energy, Mama Maya Durachaya. And it gets transformed. So that's part of Sambandha Gyan. And then there's also the spiritual energy, which you mentioned is not transformed, which is the nature of the living entity. Kshetragyakya Tatapara. We are called Kshetragyak because we're the knower of these bodies. So that's all Sambandha Gyan. Okay? And then this is necessary. Actually, the acharyas say, if you don't understand this, you'll be confused about devotional service. Now, that Sambandha Gyan is not bhakti. That's not where bhakti is, but it's a necessary prerequisite. Of course, sometimes we say there's no prerequisite for bhakti. However, by doing bhakti, you get this Sambandha Gyan. But you really have to know the difference between the soul and Krishna and the material energy and spiritual energy to function practically in bhakti. You know, if I don't know the difference between matter and spirit, I'm in trouble as a devotee, trying to be a devotee. You know, if I think I'm the body, for example, that's the illusion most of us are in. And if we have all these, what do they call them? Upadis, designations, then we will not progress in Krishna consciousness. You know, we're attached to our designations, just like here. We're in Fiji, and the people who are born, let's say the Fijian natives who are born in a certain way, are thinking, this is our country. This is who we are. Or people with a different type of body are thinking, this is who I am. This is my country. Or anyway, so you have all, or you're thinking my family. This is all upadis. Upadis, you know, false labels, false designations. That, you know, even I'm a human being is wrong. That's an upadi. So Sarvapadi Vinirmuktam. Tatpadvena Nirmalam Rishikena Rishikesha Sevana Bhaktaruchate. You have to really give up all those upadis to be Krishna conscious. As long as you're identifying yourself, I mean, like in India, caste consciousness, or country, or what is it, state consciousness, we're Gujaratis, we're South Indians, right? Oh my God. And then people just associate with only people of their same backgrounds. They have for example, there's a Gujarati Association, there's a South, I don't know here, but the South Indian Association. It's just like, what is this? These are all misunderstandings that separate us from Krishna. As long as you're thinking like that, I'm man and woman. Of course, practically in the world, you have to utilize those distinctions. Obviously, we do have, at least in Fiji, separate washrooms for men and women. Not in the other countries. Other countries are too liberal for us. But in Fiji, at least we have temporary distinctions, but we don't get confused by those particular distinctions. Right? And sometimes we see, like in India, there's a lot of chauvinism, for example. They get confused by those distinctions. Right now in ISKCON, we have this whole controversy as to whether ladies can be gurus. You know about this. And, there's an uproar from many people who just into distinctions. And their consciousness, to a certain extent, is we are this body. We're not this body. And anybody who knows the science of Krishna can be guru. Even in our different sampradayas, we have one lady who's in charge of one sampradaya, right? Lakshmi. And then we have 4 little 5-year-old kids in charge of another sampradaya. Isn't it? Kumaras. Then we have a 4-handed guy, person in charge of another sampradaya. And then we have someone who doesn't wear clothes in charge of another sampradaya. Lord Rudra. Isn't it? And he has a snake around his neck. So, there's a lot of variety, isn't it, in the sampradayas? Could you imagine that? And so people want to distinguish, that if you have a snake around your neck, you can't be a guru. Because I wouldn't try that. Fiji, you don't have snakes anyway. So in Australia, it would work out quite well. So anyway, it's all upadis that have to be given up. That's why Sambandha Gyan is so important. To understand who you are, who God is, what the material energy is. Extremely important. Sarvapadi Vinir. One has to give up the Tapadvena Nirmalam. One has to be pure. Nirmala, impurity. And then Rishikena Rishikesha Sevanam. You have to understand who you are. Rishikena, you are a servant of the Lord of the senses. Your senses are meant to serve His. You don't own anything. Nirmana Mohajita Sangha Dosha, Avyatma Nitya, Vinivrita Kama, Dwamdwar Vimuktar, Sigatoka Sangyar, Gachancha Muda Padamabhyam Tai. You know that verse too? No. Okay, important verse, 15th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita, it's good. I found some verses you didn't know. 15.5. So, Bhagavad Gita in the 15th chapter describes the nature of this world. It's a reflection of the spiritual world, just like a banyan tree that's reflected on the banks of a river or a lake. And it's upside down. And so you can't figure out how to get out, because in a banyan tree, for example, in our Hawaii temple, we have a banyan tree that covers 1 acre of land. Big banyan tree. And you can't figure out where the roots are or the branches or anything. And anyway, it's all described in the first four verses of the 15th chapter of the Gita. But the way to get out is to understand nirmana moha, not to have any more false prestige or any possession, thinking that you own something, that you are something that you're not. Nirmana moha, free from illusion. And also another instruction in that verse is Jita Sangha Dosha, giving up bad association, which we know is very important. And then Abhyatma Nitya, Manivritta Kama, giving up lust and being established in the truth, the tattva. We're talking about here, tattva. Actually, we just started with Sambandha Gyan. And Manivritta Kama, giving up lust. Twandwar, giving up the illusion of duality. Krishna talks about this in the second chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. Heat and cold, matra sparsas, dukkha, etc. Giving up all duality, Vandwara Vimuktar, being free of the concept of duality, heat and cold, I and mine, right? Vimukta, Sukha Dukkha Samgaya, known as happiness and distress, basically that duality. Good job. And in this way, if you're not bewildered, Padamavyam Tat, you can go back to Godhead. Interesting. Okay. So I think we covered Sambandha Gyan enough. I don't know how long we have for class. I could speak about this for about 300 hours. But anyway, so then after that we have Abhideya Gyan. Abhideya means that's really where bhakti really starts fully in Abhideya. Abhideya means how to realize all those things that we learned in the Sambandha Gyan. The relationships, all the relationships between the tattvas. Remember that word tattva? Tattva means something that continues to exist. The Lord, living entities. I know I'm repeating myself. And the Lord's energies. So how to realize that fully? In Sambandha Gyan, you're dealing with Gyan. And then in Abhideya, you get into something called Vigyan. That means realize it. Sambandha Gyan is very theoretical. Okay, I'm a servant of Krishna, I'm not the body, but still, I'm experiencing pain. Still, I don't love Krishna. Still, I don't have a taste for the holy name. Still, I just want to enjoy my senses. So you got to have this Vigyan. And so Abhideya means practical instructions about how to progress in spiritual life, how to realize. And that's called beginning sadhana bhakti. After sadhana bhakti, sadhana means, according to the Vaidhi, in the beginning Vaidhi, rules and regulations. So one has to have some faith that if I follow these rules and regulations, no illicit sex, no intoxication, no meat eating, no gambling, and I chant, then the realization will come. And it does come. But it doesn't come unless you do the things that you're told, unless you follow the process. Isn't it? Just like there's a process for anything. If you build a building, there's a process. You got to go through an engineer, and you have a design, an architect, right? Got to have a foundation. I mean, what's the use of trying to build a building without a foundation? Just like here, you have to put a really strong foundation. You put 5 piles in the ground, right, or something? Yeah, strong foundation to support it. So you follow the process. It's a process. It's not just spontaneous. You just throw the concrete in the air and then there's all of a sudden the building. It's a very complicated process. Because bhakti is not so complicated. But, there's a process, and that's Abhideya. And, then you follow the process of Vaidhi. Here's the rules and regulations. After a while, it gets really nice, and you become spontaneous. And there's Raganuga, which means really spontaneous. You get up for Mangalarti without anybody telling you have to get up for Mangalarti. You chant your rounds because you enjoy it. You start to realize who you are in the spiritual world. Like we mentioned before, we already have that spiritual identity. It's just a question of remembering it. Like if you have amnesia, if you keep telling a person who has amnesia who they are, eventually, hey, that's me. That's me. Hey, I'm Krishna Goswami. I didn't know that. So, thank you for telling me. So anyway, it's never happened to me. Don't worry. I'm not that bad. But actually, it happened with my mother, and when she was quite old, I had to keep telling her who she was. But actually, it was tricky. I said, "You're a devotee," and she forgot about all of her past life, which is good. That's when amnesia, not only amnesia, but a senior problems could be used in Krishna service. So we should go into all the old people's homes here who have dementia and just tell them who they are. You're a devotee, you're Krishna service. And they'll believe it, and it's true. Anyway, so Raganuga Bhakti, and then after that there's Bhava Bhakti. I'm not going to get into the whole description. Bhava means with extreme emotions, like Vibhava, Anubhava, etc. Anyway. And then finally you get Prema Bhakti. So that's Abhideya, and then Prayojana is Prema Bhakti. So the point is, okay, so here's the point I want to make in class, that how can you do all those things? I mean, what's the necessary ingredient to do all those things? Because, first of all, you're not going to understand Sambandha, we're going to go back, simply by studying the Vedic literatures. That's what this verse states. In fact, the Mahabharata itself has that very wonderful verse. Tarko Pratishta Shutina Vibhina. For those of you who don't know what that verse is, it's a conversation between Yudhisthira Maharaj and Yamaraj. And the statement is, you're not going to understand Sambandha or the Tattvas by logic. You can't. I mean, you could travel, actually the Brahma Samhita says you can travel at the speed of the mind, but not even reach the end of the universe. Speed of the mind is very fast. So by logic, you will never understand what is real. Tarko means like argumentation and logic. Tarko Pratishta. No, Pratishta will not establish. Shuddhina Vibhina. And you can even pick up all the Vedic literatures and you will not understand a damn thing. I remember before I joined the Hare Krishna movement, I tried to read the Bhagavad Gita on my own, not Prabhupada's Bhagavad Gita. And Upanishads, I was a yoga student. I practiced yoga. I chanted Om. As a bogey yogi. So anyway, because why? Because the Vedas have so much different information about everything. There's the Ayurvedic section of the Veda, there's the Jyotir Shastra, there's the Karma Kanda section, the Jnana Kanda section, and even in the Upasana Kanda section, there's mention of worship of demigods. Like if you go to the some of the original Vedic literatures, there's more information about worshiping Lord Indra than there is about anyone else. The Sama, Yajur, Atharva, Rig Veda, especially Rig Veda. Rig Veda, most of the verses about Indra. That's interesting, isn't it? Of course, there's one verse that says, Om Tad Vishnu Paramam Pada Pashanti Yat Surya, that even these demigods, they worship Krishna, they look to Vishnu. So, right, getting to the point. So, Shuddhina Vibhina, there's so much information about different things, so you'll never understand anything. So, what do you do? There's only one solution, according to this verse in the Mahabharata. Anyone know the end of the verse? You must know that. The end of the verse. Yeah. and Mahajayena Gata Sampanta. Because the truth is hidden in the hearts of the sages, of the pure devotees. In other words, if you want to even have some bandhagyan, that is just know what is what, even forget about abhideya at this point, what you do about it. Even if you want to have some bandhagyan, you have to approach a pure devotee. Because he's the only one who knows that Vedaischa Sabha Ameva Vedyo, that by all the Vedas Krishna is to be known. So, like I said, I read the Vedas, I couldn't figure anything. Krishna, demigods, Brahman, just all very confusing. Vedas are very, very confusing. And even if you read the Mahabharata, it's extremely confusing as to who is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. I mean, Krishna is there, he does a lot of interesting things in the Mahabharata. But you get confused. And even Vyasadeva was chastised for confusing people with the Mahabharata. His spiritual master, Narada Muni, said, are you satisfied with, confusing people? And therefore he compiled the Bhagavatam, which is not confusing. So in any case, we have to approach a pure devotee. Tad viganartam sa gurum eva avigachet. Right? Avigachet is the imperative form in Sanskrit, which means you have to, even just to understand the truth, what to speak about performing devotional service. So then, if you want to perform devotional service, then you need to get some devotion. Because otherwise it's just karma yoga. I mean, you can serve Krishna without devotion. Yeah, you can. I mean, just like you find all the people who come to the temple, what is that? Om Jaya Jagadisha Hari, Swami Jaya Jagadisha Hari. Please give a lot of money to me. Om Jaya Jagadisha Hari. Please give me a nice wife. Om Jaya Jagadisha Hari. Please let my children listen to me. Om Jaya Jagadisha Hari. Isn't it? So you can serve Krishna without having bhakti. It's true. You can. Because you have some other purpose. I mean, even Dhruva Maharaj, he had that purpose at the beginning. He wasn't serving Krishna because he loved Krishna. Ultimately, he loved Krishna. But the way one gets bhakti is not from Krishna. The way one gets bhakti is from Krishna's devotee. Krishna say tomorrow, Krishna dite par. That Krishna, bhakti is independent, according to Vishwanath Chakrabarti Thakur. And bhakti resides in the hearts of the devotees. And by approaching the devotees, serving the devotees, Mahatseva Mahurvi Muktes, then one gets bhakti. One gets like a heart transplant at that point. That's the secret. We chant that, we understand that every day, Yasha Prasada, Bhagavat Prasada, Yasha Prasada, Nangati, Topi. But it's really a practical thing. That bhakti comes from devotees. And so it's very important to approach devotees like I was fortunate enough to approach His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada, and you all have that opportunity too when reading Prabhupada's books. And it was so enlivening. I mean, I could say the first time I heard Prabhupada chanting, I felt bhakti. I'm not saying I'm perfect. All I can say is, I heard Prabhupada chanting on the radio. My life was very confused. I had no understanding of the goal of life. I didn't know which way to turn. Everyone was upset with me because I was so confused, especially my parents. But when I heard Prabhupada chanting on the radio, wow, I didn't even understand what the Hare Krishna mantra was. All I knew was, the chanting. And I recorded it, and I listened to it over and over again, and my life changed from that point. Sadhu Sangha, Sarvasa Shrakoi. Lava mantra, like an instant, 1/11th or 10th of a second. My whole life just changed. Oh my God. And, eventually I ended up here. Pretty interesting, just hearing one song. I mean, how many songs do you have that you hear one song, it changes the direction of your whole life? Do the Bollywood songs have that already? No, they just confuse you. Any other songs? No. So many songs. But that one song, Prabhupada chanting, singing, and then getting Prabhupada's book, Krishna book, 10 Canto Bhagavatam, summary study. I didn't understand anything, but it changed my life because Bhavanti Vidkarna Rasayana Kata, Joshana Dasra Apavarga Vartmani Shreda Atir Bhakyanukar Mishati. I'll explain what that means. According to Lord Kapiladev, that sound went from the ear to the heart. Didn't go through the brain. That's interesting. Because Prabhupada describes, actually, there's a channel between the ear and the heart. Rit Karna. That means heart, Karna. Karna? Like that character in the Mahabharata, ear. Some people say Karna was born from the ear. That's not true. So, he wasn't called Karna because he was born from Kunti's ear. Anyway. So, it goes from the ear to the heart, and then the whole life becomes changed, and one gets bhakti. And one loses bhakti by offending